there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaten Path, and this is your Must Know Monday for Monday, May the 15th. A question I get a lot of times is, what are some alternative clasps that you can use besides a regular toggle or lobster claw? Well, one of my answers is always a button. I love to use buttons for my closures on necklaces, bracelets, all sorts of different jewelry that you can make. So today I'm going to show you a really simple project and how to attach a button and use it as your clasp. So what I'm going to be using, and now you can use regular beading wire or whatever you have, but I'm going to be using some of the micro suede that I've been using the last couple of weeks. I'm using the red color. I'm going to be using some large hole beads so that it will go over this, but now you can use regular size beads. I'm going to be using one of my favorite new buttons, which is a really pretty pewter rose. And then I'm going to be using two more little things, and I'll show you those. Now, the thing to understand about the buttons that I'm going to be showing you today, they are nickel free and lead free. So they're very safe to use in your beading. So let me go ahead and get my table set up and we'll get started. So here are the beads that I'm going to be using today, and here is my button, the rose. I absolutely love this button, especially right now because it reminds me of the rose from Beauty and the Beast. Then this is actually a bead that I used a few weeks ago in one of my videos. This is just a metal large hole faceted bead, and then I've got a couple of pieces of 20 gauge wire. So I'm going to start out with my micro suede, and I'm going to cut that micro suede at a point and thread on my button. Now, the only thing that you have to worry about when you're doing your beading and you're going to use a button is make sure that your shank is big enough to accommodate whatever you're going to be using. And I'm going to fold this piece over and then take my 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to wrap this wire just like we did on some of the previous projects that we've done. And I just want to wrap it till I meet the bead. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to take this little short piece here, and I'm going to do a little bit of wrapping with it. Now, once you have some wraps on there, then you can go ahead and trim those wires off. And then take your flat nose pliers and press that wire down. And once you have that, then you can take and trim this excess piece of micro suede off so that you have your button attached. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the other end at an angle here, and then I'm going to start threading on my beads. So I'm going to thread on all my beads and get them threaded on here, and I'll be right back. So I have the beads threaded on that I want to use, and now I'm ready to make the loop for my button to go through. So to test this, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your cording and kind of fold it in half. And at that point, you'll want to just start testing and see how big you need to make your button loop. So for mine, my button loop is going to need to be about this big. So that way I can easily get the button through there. And now that is going to add just a little bit of length to the bracelet, so just be aware of that as you work your bracelet. Now, with this loop that I'm going to make, I'm going to take and I'm going to use my wire, and I'm going to wrap this wire right here. So that means I'm going to have to bring the thread or my cord in just a little bit so that now I can take this wire and wrap it. And again, you just want a couple of really good wraps on there because you don't want this to come apart. And especially if I'm using this micro suede cord, I like to leave a little bit of room where my beads are at here, so that way it's easy, you know, it's not tight on these beads when you actually work with them and wear it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim both of my little wires here. I'm going to go ahead and trim this long piece that I have left. Tuck those wires in. And then a little surprise element to this piece. When I made this, I didn't necessarily like being able to see the wire here. The good thing about the button hides the wire that's under it, so you don't really have to worry about it. But I didn't like that. So I had these little beads laying on my mat, and I said, well, let's put them babies to use. So you can put that on, and that allows for you to be covered up, you know, your wire here to be covered up so you don't have to worry about it. And then that way, when you put your loop through, or your button through the loop, you have a really pretty finished piece that you'll wear. I've also done a sample here, and I've used all the same buttons just because this is like my ultimate favorite button right now. So here's a black bracelet that I did, and then I also have one on that I've done with the freshwater pearls, and used the gray micro suede with it and that rose button. So you can see there's lots of options to this piece, and you can do this with your beading wire and just thread on seed beads to make a loop big enough, just like I've done here on your regular beading wire. So I'm not necessarily offering kits for bracelet this week, but what I am going to offer is I'm going to offer you a set of my favorite buttons. So these are some of my buttons that I like to use here in the store. Here is a square one with a really pretty design on it. The Tree of Life button. And again, all of these are lead-free and nickel-free. There's one with a really pretty flower design, fleur-de-lis sign. Of course, the rose button that I used today. Another one with a really pretty flower design on it. Same here, a little design, and they all have pretty good size shanks on them. And then here is a really, really large button that you could actually use as a centerpiece for a necklace, but have it as the clasp and have it in the front. So you can find these buttons as well as the beads and the cording on my website, which is offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com.